The amateur game has always been a big part in our lives. It's always the topic of our conversations and it's constantly on our minds on a daily basis.
Although it's not at a professional level, the amateur game is a working class sport at a working class level. Players put their bodies on the line, lives on hold, and have worked their socks off to be the best they can be from the top to the bottom of the amateur game.
We live and breathe football, and the amateur game has given us our best years in football. Both of us have come to the end of our playing days and want to sit and speak to the legends of the game, legends in our world, to sit and listen about the careers and stories of the game we love.
Welcome to our podcast.
3 points, please.
Right, today we have Christy McElligott, ex-junior international, ex-Ballymun United, WEFTA St. Moctus manager and a Ballymun legend. Christy, welcome.
Thanks, Al. Thanks. Good to be here.
Great. So, take us back. Where did it all start? Or what you doing now, first of all?
Yeah, no, I suppose first of all, I'm a development officer with the FEI. So, not your average everyday development officer. I work in the area of disability within the FEI, the association itself. So, giving young kids and adults the opportunity to play football, that wouldn't have been there before. But right now, it's that area of the game is booming. There's clubs popping up all over the country. So I must be doing a good job. From there at the association now, I did 2 years voluntary with the association before they gave me an opportunity to be community coach with a paid role, and then moving on then from that into a DO job. Great job, love it. It's connected me with many people, it has, and it's opened a lot of doors in regards to networking with people and things like that. So so it's a very challenging area of the game, because I suppose you're working with different disabilities, but I think we're not looking for your next best star in that area of the game, but more to do with just
inclusion, more than
it's about seeing smiles on people's faces, about giving someone that opportunity, and it's about, I suppose, about connecting people with the game itself, sport itself, and football, because we all love it, kids love it. We want to give them that every opportunity you can.
Just had a tournament the weekend, didn't you? Out on the campus, yeah.
We just had a Football for All Blitz Day. It's a national festival. It's on once a year, and we had all. We sent the invite out to all the Football for All clubs across the country to attend, and we run mini blitzes on the day. So you could have John Bosco's playing against Lord Celtic or Fingers United were there, actually.
Yeah, that's young was out there.
Yeah, it was great. No, it was great. We had the legend Mark Kenny, who was presenting medals to people, the Lord Mayor. But he was excellent. But look, in the area I work, especially with the DOs that are in my region, which is Region 2, really engaging DOs are in the area of Football for All. So they're really supportive, really happy to help, as is most of the other regions, but there's lesser clubs in the other regions.
Yeah, right. Has that been a big thing, or is it only coming to kind of an area like it's like, has it been big, or is it only coming to a light kind of now? No,
it's been massive. We have our different NGBs, who are all trying to follow suit and what the FEI have in place, so the FEI itself, I suppose the Football for All program started a long time ago with Usher and Jordan, and he's moved on now to Special Olympics. But
how long you talking there? How long ago was that?
Oh, you're talking about more than 15 years, I think.
Really, yeah.
We only started seeing it boom the last 3 years. I think Things United set theirs about 3 years ago, and you only start to see it that sort of it now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in the last 3 years or so, we were at 51 clubs, across the country, and you would think that's a small number of clubs, for the country, but when you're talking about the area of the game that we're looking at, disability sports, it's difficult because there's many challenges, but also, the information that we were sending out there probably kind of frightened a few clubs away from it, because they hadn't got the expertise to work with the kids that you're looking at and adults that they're looking at. But since the 3 years, 4 years, maybe even 5 going back, like, you know, we've gone from 51 clubs into the 80s, like, you know, so so there's a lot of good work being done with all the football for all DOs and also the mainstream DOs in the country, like, so.
Great.
And
Fair play.
that's if you look at 80 clubs and then you break that down into many players they have in that club, you're looking into the hundreds for inclusion of other kids that would never been included before. Again, that was your aim when you all started this. So you starting off as a volunteer, then so many years later, you have a couple of hundred kids doing included. It's brilliant.
I suppose the vision for us is always going to be around giving every child and every adult the opportunity to perform the best and reach their own level within the game, but giving them the opportunity to play football in the local community. I would love a football for all team at every club in every part of the country, but that's not being realistic, because, you know, like normal clubs, you will find that team or clubs will start taking players from other clubs. That's where we don't want that happening. What we want to do is to make sure that there's one central club in one central community where players are directed to. And also, I think the biggest thing for me is that if you have somebody with a specific disability who, you know, that maybe we can point them in the direction of the affiliates. Like, I know we'll probably touch on it, but like our affiliates, you know, with the specialise in amputee football, CP football, power chair football, all these, if those kids are at clubs and aren't availing, or even in the community that aren't availing at the club, you know, maybe we can point them in that direction.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So we'll take it back down a couple of years. Well, I don't know how many years we're going to go back now, but
a lot of years.
How old are you now, Christy?
I'm 53.
53.
I know I look 40, but I'm 53.
Yeah, so nice colour on the face there.
Yeah, give it the hair now.
It does need a haircut, in fairness, so it does need a haircut.
We were only looking at, obviously we asked you a couple of questions before, and I couldn't believe it. You played goal till you're 17, and then you went on to have the career that you had. Probably.
That's mental.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Same.
And how did, like, obviously you hit 17, and next step was near enough seniors and everything else. So whose decision was it to step out, or were you good in goal to stay in, or was it?
I was being scouted by one of the English clubs I was as a goalkeeper.
Who were you schoolboy with then, Christy?
I was with Ballymun. At schoolboy I played at Kevin's. You know, and then moved from Kevin's to a local club. Obviously, the local club was close to my heart. As believe it or not, I'm coaching at the moment, and the guy who coached me as a kid is now my assistant at the club I'm at now at the moment.
Right.
So, you know, talk about coming full circle, like. But he taught me so many things he did as a kid, like, and he's one of those role model people, like, you know, he's kind of somebody I looked up to all the time. But I played him in goal, and he was a big admirer of me as a goalkeeper. He was, and kept pushing me in that direction. And you know yourself, you're playing for the AOL team and things like that. So at underage I was playing with the AOL side. I went for trials with the senior side, and Jerry Smith was actually looking after the team. Not Jerry Smith, but it was a school teacher that was looking after the team.
With the AOL seniors?
The AOL juniors at the time.
Juniors. Right.
And he said to me, look, we're playing against Colester in a friendly, and he said, Jim Harvey, that was his name, he said, look, I tell you, we've loads of players, he said, loads of players, and some of them aren't turning up. He said, we've 3 goalkeepers. Would you play out for a bit of the game? Just play out. And he said, I don't care where you play, he said. And I said, yeah, no problem. So he put me at right back, and played the whole game at right back. And he said to me, you're never getting in goal again. And that was it. That was the start of the journey, I suppose.
Right.
You know, I went back to Ballymun. Yeah, I went back to Ballymun and straight back in goal went.
Ballymun United.
Yeah, and they put me in goal, and then I went for trials then for the AOL senior team as an outfield player, and they actually took me as a sub goalkeeper.
Did he?
So
Killing two birds with one stone there, aren't you? What?
so they took me as a sub goalkeeper, and then things didn't work out. I think it was who was managing the team at the time. It was ex-Jerry Orchard manager. Jim, can't think of his name, but he was managing the team. He was, and it didn't work out, like, you know. So I went back to Ballymun, put my tail between my legs, and off I went. And summer came, and you know, I think both of you remember Jerry Kavanagh.
From O'Devney?
Yeah,
No,
Jerry said to me, "Do you know what? Rovers are doing trials," and he knew me as a goalkeeper. He said, "You fancy going out?" And I said, "Geez, I don't know whether I'd be any use out there." Like, you know, he goes, "No, go." So I went out, and Rovers were mad keen on me. They were, as a goalkeeper, and then he said,
"Sorry, I'm still finding it very hard to get into my mind that you were a goalkeeper."
Yeah.
That's mental.
And then like that, Jerry Cavan again.
Yeah.
Come on, Pats are doing a bit as well. Went down to Pats, but not as a goalkeeper. He said, "Let's have a look at your outfield." Brian Kerr says to me, and I said, "All right." So we did all the fitness work. You know, I was lagging in the fitness side of it compared to all the other lads. The other lads with experience. You're dealing with players like Pat Kelch, Mark Ennis, and Mick Bourne, and a load of household names. And I was like the little fish in the big pond. I was like, and so at the end of pre-season, Brian Kerr turned around and said to me, "Okay, I like what I see. A couple of friendlies coming up, we'll give you an opportunity to play." And I said, "All right." First friendly was against Middlesbrough. Played me at right back. Curtis Fleming was at the sign-up for Middlesbrough, playing against Curtis. And I was marking a guy called Stuart Ripley, and he tore me to shreds. Went to Blackburn then.
Blackburn won the league.
Tore me to shreds with his pace. But I played well. So the next
then?
I was, good Lord, I was probably 20. I'd say 19, 20. I'd say it was about 19, sorry. And he next game then was against Portadown, and I said, right, so played well in that game, man of the match. After the game, Brian Kerr says, "Right, come on, we'll sit down with you," and offered me a 3-year contract. So straight away, I said, "Yeah."
So going in now, obviously it's small fish in the big pond. Like, what was your attitude? Like, was then of a point to prove here, or were you just like shy and sit in the background? Like,
I shit myself.
Yeah, and the mentality, obviously.
No.
You put it to lead in a good place where you went out and got man of the match or whatever, you know.
Do you know what? It's funny, and I said you both would know this as well. Like, you know, sometimes you can just sit there, you know, and everything can pass you by. You're just sitting there, like, you know what I mean, and you don't think about it at all. But once you get on the pitch,
yeah,
very true.
That's it. Football.
Yeah.
Still the same.
Yeah.
So I was surrounded by all these people, like, you know, and I was very shy, you know, and it took a bit for me to come out of my shell, like, you know. But in fairness to the lads, you know, in that environment, there's a lot of piss takers, like, you know.
Big time in the dressing room.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it was very easy for me to kind of let me guard down a small bit, like, you know what I mean, and open up a little bit more.
Be
and
a bit naive to it, yeah.
And then eventually, I was the only non-drinker out of the group, like, you know. Which probably didn't go down well. It didn't help either. Like, with piss taking,
especially the drinking culture back then.
Yeah, back then it had been through the roof.
It was like your amateur team here. You know, when if back 20 years ago, when you came in at half time, there was a pot of tea ready for you. Yeah. That was it. Yeah. And that's the way it was, like, you know. Yeah. And then after the game, these lads would have a crate of Heineken or something, like, you know, sitting there waiting for a few cans, like, so. But great, a great experience with the lads, like, you know, and great stories for all of them. And I've met great people, not just at Pats, but in different teams who would, you know, I've come up against, like.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
How long did you stay there with Pats for?
5 years. 5 years, and extended it to a 7 on my 5th year. Monaghan bought me. And it was a funny one as well, because Brian Kerr was away on holiday, and I read something in the paper about him looking to release a few players, and my name is in there, and I went, well, feck that, like, you know. Yeah. Billy Baxter was used to be Brian's assistant many moons ago, and Billy was a big fan of mine, so he got on the phone to me straight away. Would you
He was with Monaghan,
interested?
obviously.
Yeah. Huh?
He was at Monaghan, obviously.
He was with Monaghan. Would you be interested in coming up? I just said, yeah, straight away. Like, you know, because I said, Pats are getting rid of me. Well, you know, I need somewhere to go. So he signed me and became the most expensive player Monaghan bought. Like, but back then it was a lot of money, but now it's buttons. Now it's buttons. I think it was £2,000.
Still back then.
So,
what year are you talking then?
Oh, geez, don't take me back that far.
You get the calculator out.
It was I don't know what it's worth now.
In inflation,
has to be millions. Has to be millions now.
Well, there you go. It's not a bad stat to have.
But he had a team full of free players. Decky was playing. Decky Gagan.
Deco, yeah.
Mick Bourne was playing. Paul New was playing. Brian O'Shea was playing. Ronnie Murphy.
Well, that like obviously 2000 back then there was a lot of money was there, obviously record signing, so you're going in with a not tagging your back, but a lot on the shoulders then the point to prove again, like, so you started off with point to prove being the first and like a young lad in the door, maybe point to prove being.
Well, again I came into Monaghan United from being with Pats where players probably just looked at me as a player who was in and out all the time, not someone who was a regular.
Mm-hmm.
But with Monaghan, I every game.
Yeah.
Billy had me in every game as one of the players, one of the experienced players. So if you brought in somebody new, I was an experienced player. You know, I was one of the senior players, should I say. And look, just after doing that signature and all that sign of a Billy, Brian Kerr rings me up a week later and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I wasn't getting rid of you. Where are you going? And I was like, I just said, I thought you were. I read in the paper, don't be so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, a good decision or was it a bad decision? Or what?
It worked out. I had a good year with Monaghan, but it worked out to be, I suppose, not a bad decision because people in Monaghan were great to me, you know. But it worked out not so good for me because the year after Monaghan came into some financial bother, like, you know, and all the players they had, all the experienced players they had were all given free get out of jail clauses with the FUI, and I was left at Monaghan by myself
on the contract.
So they wouldn't give me a free because they were paying the money for me. So I was stuck there with amateur players, and I said, I'm not having this for the year. Probably getting battered every week, like, you know. So unfortunately, I made the decision with Billy, and I said to Billy, look, it's just not going to work. I'll go back and play amateur football. And he said, look, I won't hold you to it. He said, you know. And then again, Brian came in and took me on loan and said it's me going back to play amateur football.
Back
Billy,
to
Pats for another 2 years, or 3 years, sorry, on loan for 1, and then signed me again on a contract for 2.
So in your first 5 years, so you won the Premier League.
First, yeah, I won the
FUI,
the National League, yeah, and runner up in the FUI Senior Cup, and winners at the Leinster Senior Cup. So yeah,
it wasn't a bad 5 years. Yeah,
Try a couple of medals.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Yeah, they're gathering dust at home.
I don't know.
No,
Do you know where they
I'm
are?
looking at the shelves here, and there's loads of stuff around here. There is where I could do with a shelf or two at home. I know where they are. Yeah, no, I haven't got rid of them. No,
You couldn't.
Then so we were back there for a year and a half. Then, but when was the decision to go back to Ballymun to the senior football?
Pat Dolan was managing Pats at the time. I was at the breaking my ankle, and was sitting there out for a bit. I think it was 6 to 8 weeks or something, and I came back and trained, and Pat said to me, look, I want you in the gym. I want you in the gym every day. You know, you're putting on weight. I said, I know. I said, Pat, and you're telling me, and you know, Pat knew himself, like, you know, he said, like, you know, but you're playing, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, I know, Pat, I know. So I was in the gym, and I'm trying to keep up with all these young fellas, like, you know, I'm getting older, but I'm trying to keep up with all these young fellas, and to be fair to Pat, he was right in the sense that, you know, if I wanted to play, you know, if I wanted to be at that standard, I had to be at a certain fitness level.
Yeah. Well, how old are you then?
About 27, I'd say.
27, you're saying you're getting older. That's obviously, like, you must be bringing the young lads through.
I look at Pat had a new way of doing things. He did, and Brian was real. Brian was real methodical in what he did. Like, everything he knew everything about everybody.
Yeah,
he knew everything about every player in the National League. Whereas Pat now was coming. It was the new era of coaches. Coming in, the video analysis and all this sort of stuff. Like, bringing expertise coaches in with them.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing the coaching themselves, and doing the training themselves. So I just, was on this treadmill running. I kept saying to myself, "Jeez, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this?" Like, I got myself to a good, decent fitness level, and I went out, and he put me out with the 21s, which then was probably the nail in the coffin for me.
To go back to just say that was your decision then.
I think I had an idea in my head. John Tracy, I don't know whether you remember. John Tracy was an ex-player of Patsy was, and he was managing Ballymun at the time.
Right.
And he came and spoke to me and said, "Look, do you fancy coming back?" He said, And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how do we make it happen?" He goes, "Look, I'll talk to Pat." He said, and I smile now about it because when John went in and spoke to Pat a week later, I was allowed to go back to Ballymun. But then John Tracy went to Pat's, not to play, part of the coaching staff.
After how long?
A week. A week.
But he sacrificed himself, did he?
I don't think he sacrificed himself. I don't think he sacrificed himself.
It happens though, doesn't it? It happens in football. Like,
it's conversations.
It's here today. It really is here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it's happened.
Strike up a conversation, and that one thing leads to another, and then all of a sudden,
come here. I'm sure the conversation went like, "Christy, can we have Christy back?" "Yeah, of course you can. There's a role here for you, John, if you want it." "Oh yeah, I'll take it."
Yeah.
That's the sort of conversations
that could have happened. Yeah.
Come here. That's football. But yeah, that's the way it happened. Went back to Ballymun.
Premier A, that
Premier A
stage they'd have been,
the year there, I think, year and a half there, where we were really struggling, and struggling from the point of view that we were always in contention for something, but never actually winning. And then
who took over then, Christy? Ballymun?
Sinna.
Noel Sinna, legend.
Sinna took over, he did, and made the drastic move to come and get a couple of bodies, which I think the minute Sinna came in, it changed the whole dynamics of Ballymun United.
a few came from Wefta then at that stage, didn't
a few legends from Wefta, and they were there. They were the torn cog for the Ballymun success. They were them and the Canes.
Because Wefta, I think, was starting to. I think they were at to get into a Leinster junior final. I remember as kids going and watching them, like the likes of Darragh Moore, Steve Costello, Steve Hanna, Gary Burdock, and all. And we used to watch them every week because we were Wefta schoolboys. But the likes of Darragh Moore, Stevie Hanna, and all, they were the players coming up for Wefta. So Wefta were developing into a really good team, and watching them every week, and then seeing the likes of Darragh Moore leave, Steve Hanna leave, all the Gary Burdock, Richie Kelly, all them players going to Ballymun. It was like,
look, we go
poor
watching,
Wefta.
like, it's not saying it's be going watching the idols or whatever, but it's a certain extent because we were only about 15, 16, and these lads were like younger. We seen down the street, there's Steve Hanna over there. So that's how we'd look at them. But
no, definitely, it was the same. Put it this way, I always compare it to. You go to a National League team and you walk out of the stadium, and the first person you see is the fan who's after been watching it there, and he comes over and says, "Can I have your autograph? Can I have your autograph? Can I have your autograph?" Same in your amateur game. You have all the schoolboy players watching those senior players
and aspiring to be them
and wanting to play on that pitch and wanting to be around it.
Well, we even had role models and people to look up to. Like, I used to always look up to Darragh Moore as a player and a person like that. You'd always strive to, like, he was like he'd have been a hero to you, like, growing up for being a schoolboy at Wefta. Like, you had the same with Bill McLean. His hero.
I
idolised them, like, didn't we? Growing up as a schoolboy, like, idolised them players, watching them every week.
I have to say, it was a great time for me as a footballer playing Ballymun to have those players around me. And people keep saying to me, "Oh, you were a good player," like, and I keep telling them I was only good because I was made look good by other players around the team. Like Derek Moore used to kill anybody that came near me. And I knew if I ever was in trouble with a ball, all I had to do was hit it out to the left or right, and Paul Kane on the right and stay on the left. And I always to this day, and I know he if he heard this, he'd be laughing. Gary Burdock is the only player I ever seen in my football career who could make time stand still in the box.
Yes, definitely.
Only player
definitely.
ever. There was no time.
I agree with that.
He could turn on a sixpence and slow everybody else down while he took about 10-15 seconds on the ball to pick it where he wanted.
It's like the game just stopped.
Yeah.
It
was
bounced
excellent.
twice, 3 times, and he'd find the back of the net.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then you had David. David came with him. David, who's probably the best striker, out and out striker I've seen.
Yes. I'd probably put Davey up there now as the best in AOL or amateur. Probably football. He'd be
and easily could have went on. I know Roddy Collins was chasing him to go to Carlisle, so and Davey wouldn't go.
That's just Dave all over, isn't it?
It wouldn't go.
Yeah. He's a Ballymun true and true.
He wouldn't go. He wouldn't go. I thought Roddy was promising him everything. I'll bring your family over. I'll bring your family over now, and he just wouldn't go.
It's some battles of Davey, someone else.
There you go. Look, there's Davey playing with you back then, and then we would have played against Davey, and had a few tussles and a few battles with Davey and Paulie myself.
That, will he? a few little dodgy digs thrown already.
I think all they were short of doing was fighting each other, and they did at times.
Yeah.
So what way did it go then? You're obviously in a bit of a bad place. Noel comes in, the likes of Darragh Moore, Stevie Hanna, Gar Burdock come in. What happens then?
Well, I think Noel puts the foundations down there with the players, and
would Noel have probably chased down Christy? Sorry, we couldn't cross it. But
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think the groundwork was already done with them lads through people in the club like Naylor and Joxer and things like that, and they would have known them from Wefta and meeting them at times. And I think what happened was that you lads were always the nearly men, nearly great potential, but nearly
always.
And we were the same. We were like always the bridesmaids, never the bride. So I think the prospect of coming to us with a couple of key players, we had Ray Duffy and all was there with us at that time, and Mel was there, Colin Curry, we had my brother Gino was playing as well, we had a couple of players there that made it look a little bit different, and then when boys came in, man, did we play. It was some of the best football I've ever seen a Ballymun United team ever play. And I take nothing away from the lads who paid the way before me, the more senior players, Doxer and Jim Kavanagh and all those boys, Bernard O'Connor, who all paved the way to give us the opportunity to perform at that level. But we wouldn't have been half the team if we didn't have those Wefta lads. And the Canes as well.
Well, it blew up. That's when Ballymun United would have came to life for us as kind of Wefta fans, as schoolboy kids. Ballymun were the team then. When they went there, and you see Ballymun, you listen to in the paper and in the Target, I'm looking at it every week, and it's Ballymun winning the league. It's Ballymun winning
team superstars.
It was a team of superstars.
If you were to gauge it against something, it was like the Real Madrid of amateur football,
Galacticos.
So it was it was really good, and I had the pleasure of captaining the team, and someone that they all looked up to as well. So it was really good for me, although you never like to be the centre of attention. So even from, I say that now, and then we all go and get our hair dyed blonde.
I don't understand that, but here they am.
Was that just a one-off thing for the?
That was David Kane. That was David. Yeah, one-off thing. David Kane came up with that idea.
I'm surprised.
I think it's Seven Hannah or something. Burdock, one of them, came up with it, and.
Sure, was over a few points though, was it?
I haven't a clue, but I know one thing: mine didn't look like it was blonde. It looked like it was bleeding canary yellow.
The lads repeated then, didn't they? They tried.
They did. I didn't.
The further on down the line, I think,
they repeated when
they were in the FA final
a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So we went on to have a really successful year. We did when the lads came in.
What did you win then?
We won the league. The league title. We also won the FUI Junior Cup. We were semi-finalists before, but we won the FUI Junior Cup, the Leinster Junior Cup, and the Nivy Men Cup as well.
Quadruple.
For them, yeah.
Was that your second year now? After come back from Pats?
Yeah,
second year. So the first year was, as you said, a bit shaky. And
we were getting our arses spanked a few times as well, like, you know.
That's actually unbelievable. So prior to that, there was nothing coming through at Ballymun United really for medals and trophies.
You had the likes of John Hand, Simo, Kieran Simpson and Mel, myself. You had Gary McCormick at times, would have been in and out around that as well. But we got to I think we got to a Leinster Junior final, we did, and we got beaten. Like, but like that, we were always nearly men. Like, you know, we were nearly there. We just never. We got to the semi-final of the FUI Junior Cup and we got beaten by Fairview in down in Talca, not Talca Park, Talca Rovers pitch down there. So we were always nearly men, like, you know. But the boys came in, we were different gravy altogether. Like,
from a transition, that's actually unbelievable. From a transition of being nearly men and not winning anything, like usually it kind of goes like you get a bit better, you win a league, you win a cup, and then you roll on. Like, say what Sheriff done. Yeah, I think Sheriff won a league, then they won a cup, then they won the double, and then they went bang, quadruple. But to do a quadruple, like, we were
in contention for 5. We were the Liddy Cup was there as well. We were, and Sinne decided to give us a bit of a rest.
Didn't fancy that one.
No, he just decided to give us a bit of rest because he just thought the workload was going to be too much for like, the lads were in. They got to the quarterfinals, but were beaten then, you know. So at home, but again, like, you know, you can't fault his thinking and his thinking process, because obviously, you know, winning 4 trophies was huge.
Nearly 40 games, 50 games a season. Like, if you look at it that way, like,
easy,
if you're playing, if you
go that far,
yeah, we
absolutely
were.
Especially the Leinster Juniors, what, 12, 13 rounds or something like that.
I'll tell you, it's we were super fit without actually doing fitness work. We were super fit. Like, it was probably the only time you'd actually see every single player in your squad training without missing a night. Yeah. And it was like straight through.
I find it goes like that when all the players in the squad and they buy into it, where you know you have a really good team and there's strong competition. Yep. I noticed it even over at Crumlin when we won the league that time, we won it unbeaten, where we had 2 and 3 players for every position and everybody trained. Everybody, because they knew we're onto something's
happening. Yeah,
we're going far in the intermediate, we're going far in the Charlie Cattle, we're getting to the final Charlie Cattle, final of the Metro, final of the intermediate, and we're going to win the league, and everybody is just battling for a game, and they just train, play.
Yeah, I think we conceded 2 goals. I think it was 2 goals from start to finish in the FUI Junior Cup.
Unbelievable.
That's unbelievable, yeah.
Who, David Conroy in goal then?
Conroy was in goal. Superman.
Yeah, what a keeper.
Super.
Very good, yeah.
What a goalkeeper.
Super. Look, me and Davey grew up together through the whole process of me being a kid at Ballymun. He used to watch me playing at Ballymun, and then became the goalkeeper when I went back to Ballymun, and he was just a legend, man. Legend. Like a cat.
Yeah.
Jeez. The more I think about it now, the more I just bring back the memories. Like, but it's a super stuff. Like,
he did longevity as well, wasn't he? He was playing up until late on. Like,
no, he was. He continued to play because the club needed somebody. You know, somebody's a goalkeeper. Like, you know, and he was Mr. Consistent.
Was always there.
Mr. Consistent all the time. You know, even though he wanted to be an outfield player most of the time.
He's probably seen you do and said, "Oh, you can do this. You can do
it."
I watched your career closely, so
he's brilliant. He was great talker, great singer, everything.
So what? After winning the quadruple, let's say, obviously that's when the junior internationals kind of come in, and I'm sure the few of us.
There was a few of us. I was obviously, before I went to Pats, I was a junior international. I was after being capped.
From being with Ballymun beforehand?
From being Ballymun beforehand. Jerry Smith was managing the team.
He was still manager back then?
Yeah, he was manager way back then.
Long reign, didn't
he?
He
was great. In fairness now, he was very good.
Jeez, he must have got about 20 years there, didn't he?
Yeah, easily. But I remember the year we played up the north in the quadrangular. I played. We had to win it. I played, and I came and told him that this was a couple of weeks later. I told him I was moving to Pats, and he said to me, "Don't be so stupid." He said, "You're going to win Player of the Year, like International Player of the Year, like, you know." And I said, "Sorry," I said, "like, you know, I no job." I said, "I need the money, like." And he said to me, "Look, whatever you decide, he said, I'll back you, he said, but I think you're mad, he said, right? Because I think you've a huge future here as a junior international and that. So I said, look, I appreciate that, but I need to be getting earning a few bob.
Earning, yeah, of course.
So he respected that, and in fairness, you know, he let me head off, and he gave the award to somebody else, and he was Keith Brown, I think it was the guy. Which was fine. Like, you know, you could hardly give it to me. I was moving off to League of Ireland.
Could have done, fairness, but just the way things go, isn't it? That's football.
Look. Yeah,
Keith Brown have been with Ballymun then, no? Portmarnock, maybe?
Portmarnock, yeah.
Portmarnock, yeah.
I eventually end up winning Junior International Player of the Year, anyway.
So came around.
Yeah, so it was, if that one, that's another funny one. I won that when I lost my leg, which is funny.
Really?
So
how many international caps, Christy?
I think I've 26 at Junior International, and then I've another 15 or 16 with the amputees. So
right.
Yeah, very good.
So yeah, just not too bad, not too shabby.
Right.
For a goalkeeper,
not bad.
From a goalkeeper to an outfield player, and even at that, playing back in goal again when I came back to Ballymun. Pat's I was outfield player, but sure, some of the times when the goalkeeper was injured, I got sent off. I had to jump and go. Brian Kerr brought me on the year we won the league. Brought me on against at loan, and goalkeeper was sent off, penalty. The minute I went onto the pitch, into the goal, penalty, up against the penalty. Man scored on me, and we went on to win the game 2-1. And after that game, every other game we won the league by, I think, 2 points or something. So
some going that, isn't it?
So yeah, I'm surprised I even remember it. That old, like.
So then on, after all the quadruple, what happened next? Like, we haven't really touched there on what you said there. The accident that you had, was it long after that with your accident?
It was pre-season.
The pre-season after?
Yeah, it was the pre-season after winning the 4 trophies. I was on my way to Wexford, like I was trying to get back for a friendly. And sure, I was hit by an Arctic 6:30 in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, I think it was, in the back road in Carlow somewhere. An Arctic jackknife coming around the corner, hit me head on, took the leg clean out of me. So I was, jumped out of the windscreen because I was wedged in both sides, couldn't get out. Kicked out the windscreen with one leg. The leg was gone off me. And I had a pair of, I know you used to remember this, pair of Adidas button up the side bottoms.
I remember them. Well.
Whipped off.
Came flying at me, did it? And I think
from the smack.
From the
girls
smack.
in Finglas used to be walking by you, pulling them things off. You'd be running around in boxer shorts when you were 14, 15.
It was probably the first time I felt really embarrassed, more so than anything else, because I was left in my boxers, like. But I wasn't even concerned about the leg being gone altogether, like. So it's gone below the knee. It was completely severed off. The bone had, the bone in my quad there, snapped in half and flew out through me quad, the side. So it was like, but I didn't feel that, like, you know what I mean? It wasn't any pain. I would think it was probably, and thanks to Sinnott and that, and the season we had, it was probably at my most fittest ever.
Your peak, you could say.
For some to kick a window through with one leg after getting a smack like that. Yeah, your fitness must be something else, like, or else determination,
bravery, courage, everything.
I think that will to just survive, like, was there. But I think, I had to crawl for about 30 or 40 feet at it, and hop for about 20 feet as well. Like, there was a fella was crashing into the back of the other guy's truck in the car, came down and picked me up and took 2 steps back at me and got sick everywhere. He must have rang the ambulance then, I'd say. But I sat there and I would. When you reflect on things afterwards, I sat there and I was saying to myself, Jesus, very peaceful around here, like, and I was just sitting there. No, it wasn't any fear, like, and the one thing that probably popped into my head a couple of times was, just, Jesus, all you want is somebody beside you.
Yeah, of course. Right. That fear of being there and not having somebody.
Somebody
and comfort. That's what I look for, about comfort.
So I think that's what I took, from it when I went off back to hospital and all that. It was just, you're clinching onto that hope that somebody was there beside you, just to say, it's grand, don't be worried.
Everything's going to be okay.
But I will say that, like, you know, it was, didn't panic. I wasn't shitting myself or anything like that. Like, you know, it was more to do with just the embarrassment of not having the tracksuit bottoms on. And then one thing came into my head, like, you know, just whatever it is, don't let me die in the countryside, on the side of a road somewhere. And that was it. And fairness, ambulance got to me as quick as they could. Felt like it was only like 30 seconds. Like, you know, that's what it felt like. And they stabilised me in the ambulance. You know, kept trying to go to sleep. They were keeping me awake and things like that. I was at the losing 2/3 of me body and blood. And so I was lucky. You know, I'm still sitting here telling the story, so I am. Absolutely. I must be lucky.
Well, that's actually funny what you're saying, that how calm you are, because myself and Nelson spoke today, and we were talking about what sort of person you are, like, and if one word comes into mind, it's calm, isn't it? Like you were saying, how calm you actually are as just a person. Like, so I'm not surprised that you acted in that way, but for someone to act in that way at a particular dangerous stage in their fucking life, like, to be able to act calm that way and do what you've done, like, to get across, that's unbelievable.
But you know, I think, and I think we may find this funny, but I think that's, see ourselves, we're from areas, underprivileged areas, you know, you're around fellas, you're streetwise, you see all these sort of things. There's a certain nature that you have, like, you know what I mean? And like, when you think if you think this is the worst, like, you know, you've seen worse than this. You can always reflect on it and say, you know, I've seen worse. And I will say, like everybody else would say the same thing about their families and their parents, I had a very, very strong mother, you know, father who worked his socks off to provide for his family, like, you know. But my mum was the rock. Big
family, Christy, haven't you?
I have a huge family. Yeah. My mum was probably the rock in our house, like, you know, and she was on groups, meeting with the councils, everything. So she's really strong. She knew how to talk to people.
Strong community sense and family sense. And all,
she knew how to deal with people, you know, who had, you know, a bit more knowledge than she did. So put it that way.
Straightforwardness would be the way the whole line of call there, So
I think that's in us all. I think, you know, when we meet diversity like that, like, you know, we tend to deal with it a certain way, like, you know, and I know that's the way I dealt with it. It's probably not the way everybody would deal with it, but that's probably just the way I dealt with it. And I know that when you come through things like that, like, you know, you're always constantly thinking to yourself, jeez, I done all right there. You know, I done all right. And I know you two a long time, and I know and I know Nelson a long time now, working with the kids as well, and he's probably seen challenges many times where he's probably said to himself, God, I want to pull my hair out, but you know what, I never do. And then those kids will look at him and say, he's very calm. He's very calm, because we're able to hide it. Like,
the parents say, I don't know how you do it. You have to turn up and just give it a go and just keep plugging away, because if you don't, there'll be no one left. So
who else is going to do it?
Exactly. So
I think we're all meeting challenges everywhere we go, like, you know. We just say we deal with them on.
Exactly. And obviously, if you might fail the first time and they take that challenge, and you learn from that and you kick on and try again, like
experience. Experience. Exactly. It's all about gaining experience and knowledge, and then, you know, how you use it then afterwards is really important. So.
Very good.
Definitely. So
yeah, obviously the recovery was, and you had the operation and everything else. So when was the thought of football back in the mind of getting back?
Yeah,
you probably thought yourself, I'm missing the friendly here.
I'm not making that friendly. Probably the first thing on your mind. I'm not making that friendly. No,
that's what I said. And many interviews afterwards, it was the first thing that came into my head was, how the fuck am I going to play that match tonight?
And where's my jocks?
I think.
Right? And where's my tracks?
I think any footballer, like the way we are, our amateur footballer, how much we love it and adore it. I think if that happens you, or happens me, it happens Nelson, I think that's going to be your first thought in your mind is, I'm not making that match tonight. You know what I mean? You're on the side of the road, you're pissing blood. You could die here, but you're thinking about, I want to play this game later.
The match
that's what it means to us. Like,
it's funny, and I you know, I laugh about it all the time, because it was the very first thing that came into my mind. Even when I tell the Ballymun lads, when Cinna came down to see me in hospital, it was the first thing I told them. I said, I was just thinking about how am I going to play that match tonight with no leg? Like, you know? And he was calling me, shut up, you fool.
Yeah.
And he says, the morphine. But no, you're right. It's the very first thing, and you don't think about it. I was lucky and unlucky in the sense that I never had to make the decision never to play football again.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to make that decision. It was made for me. So I didn't have much time to think about it, and I didn't have much time to come to terms with it because it all just happened. So I think if somebody said to me tomorrow, like, you have your leg, but you're too old to play football now, you have to give it up.
Yeah.
I'd say that would hurt me more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, to come to terms with it then.
Because it's obviously it's your choice. I was saying, being Barry had a chat there a while ago. We come to like I'm 38 and Barry's about 36, 37. So we come to the age of where now we're playing 35s, but we're trying to jump in with the junior football. It's not as easy anymore and everything. So when do I give it up and kick into the management side of it? So I'm in limbo at that stage where you go out and you kind of make kind of a bit of weight in the stomach and all, wearing this like a medium jersey because that's all that's left, and people laughing though. But
come here, I had that the other day. Somebody handed me a jersey to wear, and I'm like in an XL I am, and I'm like, that's never going near me. It's a kid's size jersey, and I was like, it was up around me. I'm like, what I am out through the game, like, and I was like, God almighty, how do people get into this? But you're right. It's I found in the time that decision is never going to be easy. I would think to myself, if I ever had the opportunity to sit down and make a decision like that, I'd wish somebody else made it for me. You know what I mean? Rather than me making it, because I would like to think that I could still play even at 55, 56 years of age with 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. But I can't.
It's the brain that's your brain saying stuff like, yeah, you'd make that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the legs are saying, I'm not making that, bro.
You're having a laugh, are you?
I feel that now. I feel like when I'm looking at games, I'm saying, like, look over there looking at like the top league and as a senior every weekend I'm looking at it.
I'd be better than that.
And I'm saying, I can still play. I can still play this. Do you know what I mean? And then you're looking even at young fellas, even up here at Fingers United, not.
Of course.
And you're going, I can still mix it.
I know, of course. But you see, the one thing they don't have is experience, like, you know, and what they lack in experience, they make up for in the physicality and the work rate and hard, you know, that running sort of game. But you can't take away from the experience, like.
No.
So you go into the management side of things, so you went to Mockers, was it, for the force for the?
Yeah, I actually took over at Ballymun for a couple of weeks. I did. They were fighting relegation, and they asked me would I jump in and take control of them for a couple of games until the end of the season to see how we get on. And I said, yeah, no problem. So, and we kept them up. I went into a meeting with them thinking, you know, Jesus, this is great now, you know, I'm going to prove me worth here.
Yeah. I'm going to take over.
I'll take over, like, you know, and little did I know, I had somebody else already earmarked, and, you know, I hate to use the words, but I'll say a surplus to requirements. You know, the boys, they wanted me to stay around and learn, is what they said. But I just said, look, sorry, it's grand, I'm out of here. You know, all the years I've given to the club, kind of thing. You know, you feel a bit bitter then, you know, and you're throwing that kind of soda out of the pram, you know,
and you're young as well still at the same time.
I think it was just, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm saying to myself, Jesus, because I have one leg. Is it because I can't? Is it because
the doubt kicking in?
Yeah,
is it because they don't think I can put on football sessions? You know, or they don't think, you know, or maybe they think it's too much work for me, like, you know, and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, doing all that. So I went down my way, and Kevin Brady was with me at the time. Yeah, Kevin was with me out rest as well. So Kevin was with me at the time. So Kevin was offered a job at Mockers, and he arranged an interview with them. And just before we went in to meet the lads at Mockers, Kev turned around and said to me, look, we go in here, you take the job. He said, I'll go in as your assistant, he said, but you take the job, he said. And I said, geez, no. And he goes, no, he said, I think you should take it. You take it. I will say you're going to take it. We'll stay, we'll come in here if Christy's the manager, and I'll help him out. And that's what we did. and they agreed to it. Like, you know, when I had 2 great years there, I did with them. We got to the last, I think, the quarterfinals of the Leinster Senior Cup. That's where you go into the junior, well, yes, Senior Cup. That's where you go into the games against the League of Ireland. Yeah. So we got Bray in the first round. Right. Yeah.
How did that go?
Right. Yeah. Sunny Seagulls, all right for them. We were, look, we
few
were
leagues down in intermediate ways then.
Yeah, we were a good few down. But we held our own. We did for a long period of time, and then we just died a death. Like, you know, we're missing a goalkeeper as well at the time, but we gave a good account of ourselves, and that was the main thing. So we kept surviving in the Leinster Senior League. We did, and we were in, and I just needed a new challenge then after that. Then, like, you know, I think Brian McCarthy was playing for me at the time, and Brian was looking to get into to finish up, like, you know, and he was trying to persuade me to stay, and I was saying, nah, you know, I think I'll move, you know, I'll make a move. And then, you know, it was an opportunity to come back into the AOL. I think the AOL was probably a bit of a love for me, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I saw the opportunity to come back into a WEFTA, and luckily enough that the lads gave me that opportunity. And then I had Jay there with me and Kevin for a while, like,
Jay,
you know.
Was there. Yeah, he was there. Jay was there when you came in. Really,
I keep telling the same joke everywhere I go in the FEI. I keep telling them that, you know, isn't that mad? And Jay Donoghue was my assistant at WEFTA, and now he's my tutor.
That's crazy.
on me UEFA license.
Yeah.
So they all go, oh, right, yeah. I said, yeah, he used to pick up cones for me, he did.
I wouldn't say Jay likes that.
No, that's how he doesn't look at that.
But no, had a great time at WEFTA, because you see, the thing that attracted me to WEFTA was the lads that were there. Was I knew that team was a hard working team, like, you know, and there's great relationships with each other, like, you know. But they were all, the first thing they did was they died for the club and died for the jersey and for each other. That was the big thing for me. It was, like, you know, to get a team that would do that.
When did you notice that, Christy, or did you already know that about WEFTA, or did you see us play before?
Yeah, I've seen this play before. I've just seen this play when I was playing football, like when I was with Ballymun, like, you know, and I always remember coming up the road to WEFTA to play, and I always remember it being a challenge. I always remember it being hectic at the best of times.
I don't think any team liked going to Mark Christie and playing against WEFTA, to be honest.
It wasn't nice.
And the pitch wasn't great. And for us, for the footballing kind of side, but when we came into WEFTA, WEFTA became a footballing side, but the pitch just didn't suit us. Sure, it didn't really like it for that. It was always a slugger. It
was surprising, because as much as the pitch didn't suit you and it didn't suit anybody else, WEFTA had some, if not the majority of players, were all football players. They were, you know.
What do you call them? Road players and
street players.
And they were able to play on that surface.
Yeah.
and even made us look poor at times, like, you know. And it was, so I knew I was coming into something good, like, you know. I knew I was coming into a game where, at a club where the players were going to die for the club, like, you know. The only thing that was going to be challenging for me along the way was making sure that the dressing room understood, you know, why I was there, like, you know, and to try and get the best out of the players. And that was the challenge, because, you know, when you get a dressing room full of players who not with egos, but more to do with attitude, when they have good attitude, when they have the attitude that they think that this is the way things should be done, that's always going to be a challenge. But for the 2 years I was there, like, you know, it was always good. And even when things were going bad, and bad results, there was always somebody, you know. I can always remember John Donoghue at different stages taking the piss out of certain people, like, you know. And I can always remember the lads having, even when the worst times were there, like, you know, when the results were going against them, always having smiles on their faces, you know, taking the piss out of each other. So yeah, it was really good. Like,
you came in probably at a tough time. I would have thought you would have came into WEFTA, because Gago and Jay built a team there and got all of us together, myself, Nelson, all the schoolboy
Yeah.
players that probably we all dipped our toes into under 21 football. Myself, Nelson, Crockett, Daz, all that sort of kind of. I mean, we're all the same age, but when we all finally got there, when Jay and Gago got us all there, and we challenged then for everything that year.
Yeah.
Colester second, as you said, the nearly men, second in the league, second in the Nivea, second in the Liddy, runner up and got to them 2 finals, beating in the semi-final as a junior, beating in the quarterfinals the FA junior, and just came second to everything. But the year later, we were like, right, we're ready now to kick on. Like what you said with Ballymun, you've got them players in, which kicked us on. We didn't get them players in. I think you was probably Gago and Jay went. I think or Gago went, and you came in after probably the back of what we nearly got and didn't get. So it was always going to be
himself was gone at that stage. I think
you went to Colester, did you, with Daz at that time? Yeah,
we were trying to get him back all the time. Like, and he was in fairness to him, when he was enjoying it, he said he enjoyed it. When he wasn't, he told us he wasn't. But I think it was. I think you're right. Like, it's hard to replace those players that you just named, like, because the league wasn't spitting out those players all over the place. It wasn't like, it was very difficult to find players like that, and very difficult to find players who would fit into what was there at the time. The only player I could find at the time, he was excellent, was Gar Cooney, like, and
what a player.
And even at that, like, it was challenging for him as well. It was like, but that said, like, that team was a really good football inside. It just never got really what we deserved.
So close to everything, really, just the fine lines, like, just so close of just getting over the line. Difficult,
but if it was easy, everybody do it.
100%. True, very true.
So I suppose I'm managing now at the moment, but I'm managing a young under 15s team, my son's team. So,
and how was it with the son on the team?
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I would not.
Managing your son or managing 15?
Managing your son's team.
You bring it on home with you,
yeah, definitely.
Who was that with, Christy?
Dunboyne. It's where we live in the Shockland, but
good little setup up there.
In Dunboyne, yeah. I managed the senior team up there as well. Did before it was 2 years ago, and we again, they struggled because there's a huge conflict there with the GA in the community there. So in the parish, as they call it. But it's difficult to get players to buy into the soccer side of it, because most of them are playing GA and they're getting a lot more out of it than they are in the soccer. Like, there's good job opportunities and things like that with the GA, but I had a good side for a round. I did. Some of the experienced players were there, and done well, and didn't do so well. We struggled for half of the season, and then second half of the season we ploughed on. We did, and we finished mid-table or something. And then there was a few rumblings with the players, some of the more senior players around. It's a commitment there, like, from myself. Like, we were very starved of facilities in regards to the senior team. Believe it or not, the senior team in the whole year I was with them never trained once at their home pitch, which was terrible. We always trained about half an hour away on a 9-a-side pitch, GA pitch. So you're dragging players away from the home. So it's an extra hour on top of the training session. We were training at 9 o'clock, which wasn't. That's
a lot of dedication,
and you're talking about players are leaving the house at 7 or 7:30, getting there, at probably a 8:15, doing a bit of a warm up, getting onto the training pitch for 9, doing a session to 10, and then back home by 10:45 or so. Like,
crazy. Showering, everything filled, and then
some of them just are like, that's not right. And I'm definitely banging the same drum they are. It's not right, like, and unfortunately the club just don't have the facilities to facilitate them. They're very underage orientated, like, they've a lot of underage teams. So now I just said, Grant, I'd go for the calm one and go for the 15s, and that's more stressful than the adult football.
So what's the future now? Is it stick around with the 15s, or would you go back to senior football?
No, to be honest, I'm going to see out this one with the young lads for a bit. I'm also managing the international amputee team, so I think that's enough for me. Like, I'm actually still playing now on one leg, with crutches, with bows now. I was with Rovers for 3 years, and now I've defected.
Yeah,
Man says, I've gone to the dark side, as the man said. No, we've just had a restructure in the league, so we've moved a few players around, and it's just for the stability of the league, to make it a bit more competitive. And I've moved to bows, which I will say we're joint top of the league with Cork, and in October or November, I think November, we travel to Malaga for a Champions League. So
very good. Yeah.
You're a busy man, Christy.
I am. Nations League in September with the Irish team as well. So
how does she put up with you?
Well, she doesn't. She doesn't. So I'll leave it at that. I won't say any more than that. But look, I wouldn't be able to do it without her support and the kids' support. I know everybody says this, and it probably becomes a cliche at times. And you're probably saying behind every great man there's a great woman.
Absolutely.
Kicking the shit out of him. Yeah.
Have you any regrets?
Oh, good question. Honestly, no. Brilliant. Honestly,
yeah.
If there was, and this is only if there was, the only regret I probably do have is not being given an opportunity to manage Ballymun United.
I always think that with you, because when you came into EFTA, I always knew you had, not that you had one eye on the next Ballymun job, but I knew Ballymun was your love, and you told me, because we struck a great relationship when you came in for them 2 years. You've done a lot for me, and I always hold you in the highest regard. Even before I even got to know you, I always knew you as a legend. Do you know what I mean? But I always knew that the Ballymun job was the job you always wanted.
Yeah, most definitely. As a boy growing up in the Mun, playing for the Ballymun, I think the aspirations would always be to try and manage and be successful at the club, managing the team there.
Do we move on to the next one then? Best manager.
No, it's in there. Oh wait, take that back. Take it back. Brian Kerr.
Best player you played with?
Gary Burdock.
We go best player managed.
Best player ever managed. Gary Cooney.
Yeah, I knew.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Best club.
You don't say Wefton now, Christy. It's gone to be fucking water.
Ballymun.
So your best friend in football?
My best friend in football. Oh. Am I damned if I do here, and I'm damned if I don't?
Yeah, we give it two. Give it two. Yeah.
Right. In football, as a kid, as a youngster at Pats, it was Stephen Kenny.
He was the Irish manager there, Stephen Kenny. Yeah.
And outside of the League of Ireland altogether, best friend in football would have to be Christy McElligott. See, that man would break anybody up for me.
You need everyone something like that beside us, don't we?
Yeah.
And then we go through best 11, yeah?
Right. Conroy and goal.
Davy Conroy.
Yeah. Right back, Willie Burke from Pats. Left back was not a Pats player. Pat Kelch, ex-Manchester United player.
Yeah.
Centre back, Damien Bourne. John McDonald.
Pats players?
Pats players, yeah, at the time. Mel Kelly would be close behind them two.
Mel.
Midfielders, Derek Moore, centre midfield. Beside, me there with him, obviously, to put myself in. Yeah. Should I go with a formation first?
Well, we're going forward at the back anyway.
Right.
Unless you want to throw Mel in and put 5 in there.
Yeah, no. We go forward at the back anyway, and we'll go with 4 across the middle. So myself and Derek Moore in there. Left side of midfield would be Stephen Hanna, definitely. Right side of midfield would be Brian Morris Rowe. Pats and Rovers. 2 up front.
You know who these 2 are going to be.
Do you?
Well, I know who I pick.
I tell you what, Gary Burdock is definitely one of them, obviously. I'm torn between Ricky O'Flaherty and David Kane.
Who's Ricky O'Flaherty?
Ex-Galway United and Pats. Man, I'm gonna go with David Kane. Just because David has many different traits. You know, he's not just a goal scorer, not just physical, no good head of the ball, not just a good head of the ball, but he's one of those people who can score from anywhere.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, there's no WEFTA player in there, but there is some ex-WEFTA players in there.
Yeah, there you go. Happy with that.
I would have loved the pleasure to play football with you lads, because I know I would have had a blast.
Yeah.
But not to be. Maybe get you out in the crutches sometime and give us a game.
That'd be interesting, 100%. Yeah, we'd go for that,
yeah.
See how it goes.
Yeah, bring out the bows, lads, sound, play.
If there was one other little question, if there was one person, past and present, to have a point with football terms, who would it be? Any scale.
Past and present. Oh yeah, and any scale.
Any scale.
Just to sit down and have a drink with. There was a lad at Pat's, the groundsman, Harry Boland. He's passed away now a long time ago. Right. But was one of my biggest fans. He was. So yeah. He was always coming in afterwards and he'd have a pint of Guinness and I'd have a rock shandy, and he'd talk about the match to me, and he'd spend hours talking to me while all the groupies were all around everybody else.
Yeah.
You were sitting in the corner talking to the groundsman.
Yeah,
it's nice to strike a relationship with someone like that. I think like a kit man, a physio, or a groundsman.
Barry usually does it with the manager so he gets a game.
Well, that's what happened with me, Christy. I think that's it, isn't it, Christy? That was brilliant. I have to say now, absolute pleasure that was.
Not at all.
Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you.